I want to share with you a story about loss, despair, and most importantly, hope. It's a story about how I found light in the darkest moments of my life. Maybe it will inspire you, or maybe it will remind you that even when things seem impossible, hope can still find its way. It started like any other day. I woke up, made a cup of coffee, and sat by the window watching the sun rise. But that morning, I received a call that changed everything. My husband had passed away suddenly. Just like that, my whole world shattered. I felt like I was standing in the middle of a storm with no shelter. I had lost not only my partner, but also the person who had been my best friend for over 40 years. The house felt empty, and so did my heart. Then came the financial troubles. My husband had managed most of our money, and without him, I was lost. Bills piled up. The house felt too big and lonely, and I was overwhelmed by the silence. For weeks, I could barely get out of bed. I felt numb. Friends and family tried to help, but grief is a lonely road. I stopped answering calls and messages. The world moved on, but I was stuck. I remember one night sitting alone in the dark, asking myself, how do I go on? How do I find hope when everything I love is gone? It was in that moment, feeling utterly broken, that I realized something important. I had two choices. I could let this loss destroy me, or I could find a way to keep living, and maybe, just maybe, find happiness again. The first step was simple but hard. I decided to get out of bed every day, no matter how I felt. Some days I only managed to sit in my chair by the window. Other days, I went for a short walk outside. Slowly, I started reconnecting with old friends and family. I told them honestly how I felt, and to my surprise, they didn't judge me. Instead, they listened and supported me. I also found comfort in small routines, making a cup of tea, watering my plants, and writing a journal. Writing helped me understand my feelings. I poured out my pain on paper, and bit by bit, I started to heal. One day, a neighbor invited me to a local community center where older adults gathered to share stories, play games, and simply enjoy each other's company. I was hesitant at first, but I decided to go. That simple decision changed everything. I met people who had also faced loss and hardship. Hearing their stories made me feel less alone. I realized that even in pain, we can find connection and support. We laughed, shared memories, and slowly, I felt a spark of life return to me. It wasn't easy, but every smile, every conversation was a small step toward healing. As months passed, I began to look for new ways to give my life meaning. I started volunteering at a local charity that helped elderly people living alone. Helping others gave me a sense of purpose and made me feel useful again. One day, while helping a woman who reminded me of myself, I realized something important. I had the power to make a difference, even after losing so much. I began to write my story in a blog to share what I had learned. People started reaching out, telling me how my story gave them hope too. This connection gave me joy I hadn't felt in a long time. It wasn't a straight road. There were days when the sadness returned, and I had to remind myself to be patient. Healing takes time, and grief never fully goes away. But I learned to live with it. I began to travel again, visit places my husband and I always wanted to see. I tried new hobbies, like painting and gardening. These things brought me peace and happiness. Most importantly, I learned to be kind to myself, to accept that it's okay to feel pain and still choose hope. If you are watching this and feeling lost or hopeless, please remember this: you are not alone. Life can be unfair and cruel sometimes, but it can also surprise you with new beginnings. Hope is not about forgetting or pretending everything is fine. It's about finding light even when the darkness feels endless. Take small steps, reach out to others, be gentle with yourself, and remember, the darkest nights often make the stars shine brightest.